that I have waited for the moment to do an interview with, but very few that mean as much to me as what we're doing today. Because today I have one of my very favorite people ever. Victoria, will you share your good news with our audience?
After 7 tries, I finally passed the bar exam in Alabama on my first try.
Yay. This is the first I've had a chance to talk.
Yes.
And I'm probably going to cry somewhere in this interview. Let me start by saying I am incredibly proud of you. And
Thank
what an enormous accomplishment. Because as our listeners are going to hear, you have been just on the edge so many times that it just seemed so incredibly unfair
you.
and
Right.
difficult and frustrating. So, why don't you share a little bit of the journey as it's been for you?
Born and raised in Kentucky, I went to law school at Southern University Law Center in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Loved it. All through school, I've been a school person, a career student, basically. I love school. I love learning. That was never difficult for me until I took the bar exam. So I graduated law school in 2021 and I sat for the Kentucky bar in July. And to be honest, I used the typical big box bar review that the school gives you. And they're just like, here it is. And it's so overwhelming and just so voluminous. And I honestly didn't know how to approach it. Do I memorize everything in every book? It was just so overwhelming. And of course, when I took it, I did not pass. That's when I found Celebration Bar Review that summer of 2021, right after the bar. And so I was like, okay, when I got my score results back in October, I was like, I'm going to contact Jackson. We had an interview. I was like, okay, I'm going to take February in 2022. And so after I studied and did that, I did not pass. I worked really hard. I did everything that I was supposed to do and I didn't pass. I came up 6 points, but did not pass. And so then I took it again July 2022 in Kentucky again, didn't pass. So long story short, you have 5 attempts to take it in Kentucky and then you're barred from taking it. And so February of 2023, I was 2 points from passing. And I was like, okay, I finally, like, there's no reason why I can't get it in July. So that gave me hope and that gave me momentum. And then so July of 2023, I came up 1 whole point, and that was my last attempt for Kentucky. So I was like, okay, where else can I take it that will let me take it an unlimited amount of times that my state also has reciprocity with? So I was like, let's take it in Utah. They had a really good 92% passage rate. Let's take it out there. I worked so hard. And, but I will say I did the unthinkable and I was like, okay, I just memorize everything because I was pulling at straws at this point and I didn't know what to do, running out of resources. So I memorized everything and I went out there and I felt great when I took it. I was like, there's no reason why I didn't pass. That was one of my lowest scores. It was as if I had taken it the first time. And so this time a year ago, I was sitting in this very same position, meeting with you, and I literally felt like I had to go back to being a teacher because I was a teacher before I went to law school. And I was like, it's over. I didn't pass Utah. I failed miserably. And no other states will let me take their exam because by the time I got my results back, the deadline was already passed by 2 weeks. And everything I tried to do, just everything was just not working for me. Everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just sit July out and just regroup. And so that's what we decided to do. And I always heard good things about Alabama. And I was like, I'll just take it in Alabama in February. So even though I took one administration off, it was hard to get back into it. And so I was like, okay, we'll see how this goes. I started studying in about October and did the photo reading. I did all of that, coaching lessons with you, and just kept practicing essays and multiple choice questions. So I was like, it's been a year since I took the exam. I don't know. I'm going to give it my best shot. And I went down there. I had an incredible experience and I took it. And I didn't necessarily feel that I slam dunked it or even maybe came close. I was like, I did the best that I could. And I was fully preparing to go back and take it again in July of 2025. It was so weird. And I will say, my faith is the only thing that has gotten me through this. My family and the people in my life that love me so much. But I didn't have that anxiety, that anxious pit of waiting for 2 months, and I just instead of all the other times, I prayed if I could just pass, just give me a passing score, but I never prayed for that. I just prayed to be able to, if the results were not good, that I could pick up and take it again emotionally, mentally, and just pick up and do it again and not let it kill me like it did last year. Friday, April 25th, the results came out. They came out a couple of hours earlier than anticipated, and I was on the phone with my dad, and I was just looking at my email, and I was like, "Ah," and then I saw 2 emails from the Alabama Board of Bar Examiners, and all I read was, "We are pleased to announce," and I literally fell to my knees, and I was crying, and I was like, "I passed." So, it was just I'm just now getting to where it's sinking in because I was afraid that maybe they made a mistake. I was gonna get an email the next week, "Oh, I'm sorry, but I passed." 17% of the retakers, and I don't
There is so much to unpack here. I think it's important to point out to our listeners that you were within 1 or 2 points a number of times.
Mhm,
You just kept coming right up to the number and not getting over it. And the last time that we had talked, that when you were deciding to go to Alabama, you had first texted me and said, "That's it, I'm done. I just can't do this anymore. I'm out of this." And I found myself in the position of trying to talk you into it a little bit because I knew that you had been so scarred by the process. And you're like a daughter to me in many respects, and maybe a granddaughter at my age. And been to boot camp. We'd worked for years. We'd done you've done so many things. We'll talk about photo reading and mind maps. You even did the artificial intelligence, the AI accelerator. I want to talk
yes.
a little bit about that. There's all these things that had happened. And I felt you just couldn't give up. You were destined to be a member of the bar. And I have no doubt, Tori, that you're going to be a fabulous attorney for lots of reasons. You're the person I want as an attorney because you refuse to give up. And I know how hard you work and I know how smart you are. And so we were at that lowest point. The Utah results came back and they were just devastatingly bad. And I know that it was discouraging, isn't even the right word. It was just horrible. And I know that there are people who will be watching this interview who are at that same point right now. What do you want to say to those people?
Truly, it is completely true when they say it is the darkest before the dawn, and I thought for sure when I was 1 and 2 points back to back of passing, it didn't crush me. I was like, "I'm gonna get it the next time. There's no way that I can't." But when I dropped that low for Utah, and when I thought for sure that I passed, I was like, "Okay, this is my 6th attempt at the bar. At what point do I stop? I am spending so much money. My life is on hold." And I honestly was just this last time, I was just thinking, "It is what it is. I'll do it. I don't have a lot of hope, but I'm gonna do it." But if I didn't do it, I would not be here in this moment. I would not be a member of the bar. And I am just so glad because I can truly tell you I was spiraling pretty much all of last year after that, after those results. And I felt so embarrassed and ashamed. I didn't want to face people in public, and everybody knows, and everybody asks. I was literally hanging by a thread, and I was just like, okay, I have to keep going. So if anything, don't ever give up. And if I can do it, you can do it. So do not ever give up, because law school and the time and resources spent going to law school would be for nothing. So just do not give up.
Feels worth it today, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh, yes, it's so sweet. And maybe it's sweeter after doing it this many times.
I think in some ways it might be you'll inspire a ton of people because your story is inspiring. But I want to dig into some of the things that you did
Mhm.
that worked for you and some of the strategies that we took, because it's not just magic. It's not just you show up. A couple of things that I wanted to focus on. You used photo reading, and photo reading is a very different approach, isn't it?
Yes.
And as you were photo reading on this last exam, and even when you were coming close on the others, i- can you describe that process or what it felt like or how it was to use that as compared to, say, memorization, which you did in Utah?
Okay, so when you memorize, you get those instant results because you can keep typing it out on a Word document or writing it out. But with
Mhm.
photo reading, you're just flipping through the PDFs on your laptop of the outlines, and you don't feel like you're doing anything until you pull up an essay and do an essay, or there's something about a multiple choice question that some answer just jumps out at you,
Mhm.
and it doesn't happen until you start applying it. And it just, everything comes to your mind like, oh, there's this concept, or there's this law, there's this and this. And then it's so weird, but I can truly attest to this. It doesn't really kick in hardcore until you're sitting there taking the exam. And I know that's not what people want to hear, but the multiple choice, for example, honestly, I was covering up the answer choices. And I was like, okay, reading the question. And then I was like, I think it's this. And sure enough, some form or variation of what I thought was there. And it just pops into your mind. And so just like with the essays, you don't sit and think about it. It just flows out of your fingertips.
Very different, completely different. And getting to trust it, right, and to use it. And I think your experience, I think it's worth talking about the fact that when you went to Utah, you were grasping at straws, as you say, and you started trying everything, and it just wasn't working for you. And then when you went back to Alabama, you really leaned into the program and did everything that we asked you to do. And then it starts to work in a better way. You also did mind mapping, right? You took what you were working with, and I imagine you had mind maps probably all over the house. And
I do. And they look really cool.
okay, so there you go. So mind mapping is a way of activating what you're photo reading, what you're hearing in the lectures, and so on. But then we took it a step further before Alabama. I had been working on a beta test of something called the AI Accelerator for the bar exam. Can you talk a little bit about the AI Accelerator and how you used it and what it meant to you?
Yes. So basically, it's just you write an essay, and let's say the AI is programmed to do civil procedure. And I would write a Civ Pro essay and then upload it to the AI, and it'll spit out pretty much a conference about my essay.
Yeah.
And within minutes, it tells me what I did well, what I missed, what I should not have put in. And it's just so much quicker than flipping back and trying to make sure, wait, is that right? Does that apply? What does this model answer say? It was a big time saver too. And I also use the AI little mini subjects when I
Yeah.
would go for walks in the evening. That was really helpful.
Yeah. So it basically what the accelerator does is it cuts down your study time. But in your case, it had an added benefit. You've been through the lectures, you had done the work, And watching the lectures for the seventh or eighth time wasn't going to make much of a difference. So being able to take that information and synthesize it and make it real to you through the podcast, through the videos, through the mind mapping was a huge advantage, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I think it kept you engaged. And then the other part of this is that you continued to send work to me and we conferenced one on one about it. And I
Yes.
don't know how many times I left you in tears, probably too many, but it was important to get that feedback as well, right? As you were working through, particularly in your
Yes.
essays and
I'm the
performance
person
tests.
that I need that feedback.
So we did a lot of those conferences. And the thing that struck me was how persistent you were, how much you wanted to improve. And before the exam, I kept saying, Tori, you're going to pass. You're there. And you're like, no, I want to get it better. You got to make it better. Push it harder. And we did that. And it was just wonderful to see you growing and developing, and your whole body language, your posture, everything right before the exam was the best I'd ever seen it. You were like, okay, I got this. I know how to do this. I'm going to go do it. Is that a fair representation of what you were feeling?
Yes, it was. And I just felt really good about it. The whole process was just, it was different. Everything about this whole time was different before, during, and after.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you end up putting your life on hold. And I know that you did. I know that there was a lot of things going on in your life. What's it feel like when that log jam finally breaks?
I honestly feel like I can go and do whatever I want to do. And it's weird because I have to remind myself, oh, I don't have to study this summer. I can go visit my friends in different parts of the country. I can go do this, or I can go, do I want to work here? I don't know. Let's look around. I actually have options now because I was looking at JD Advantage jobs, which they're not as
Yeah.
plentiful as people seem to think that they are. So I'm just, who knows? But I feel like a weight has lifted and I just feel I don't have this heaviness, this cloud over my head. It's just incredible. And to share it with my family and my friends because they were all in the trenches with me. And so I feel like I can literally conquer the world.
Yeah. I imagine when you told your parents, it had to be a special moment.
That was special. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they put their lives on hold too.
They do. They've never been the type of parents to put so much pressure on me where I've been afraid, but they're right there with me and they probably hurt more than I do sometimes. And they have helped me in every way possible. I could not have been here doing this, sitting here with you without them.
Yeah. You are the poster child for so many things that I think of in positive terms.
Thank you.
You, you kept your spirit. I think a lot of people would have given up many times before. And you kept trying. And even more to the point, you kept saying, what can I do differently? How can I improve? I think sometimes it's easier when you have a big miss, like in Utah, than when you have the close miss. You think, oh, if I just do a little more of this,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a weird kind of juxtaposition. And so, in some ways, it was a blessing that you got blown out in that prior test because it gave you the freedom to do what we needed to do. Whereas when you kept coming up 1 point, 2 points short, it's, oh man, what do we say here? But respect you so much
Thank you.
because you did what it took and you put in the resources, you put in the time, you put in the money, you put in the effort. You didn't shortchange any of those things. There was never a conference where you came unprepared. And that to me just speaks volumes to your character.
Thank you.
In 30 plus years, I've worked with thousands and thousands of people. You're certainly a top tenor for me. This interview is a moment I have thought of for years,
Me
wanting,
too.
ready to do, right? And so I'm sure there'll be people going, no, you don't get it, folks. This one mattered. This one counted. And so I got a text from you saying you passed, and I went crazy. And I don't think I sent the reply text.
I
And
didn't
you're
get
like,
one.
and you're like, he's not answering. What's that about? I did my happy dance, which you don't want to see. Old men doing dances are not.
Yeah.
but I did a happy dance because I know what this meant to you. And I
Yeah.
think just as importantly is I know that out there in our audience, there are people who are despondent, right? The pass rates are terrible. The bar exam is crazy. It's a miserable, messed up system. And they're just ready to give up, or they just don't know what to do. And you've said, don't give up. What would you tell them about Celebration Bar Review? You were certainly very loyal to us in your journey. And maybe you
Yes.
could talk about why that was. Why didn't you just go off and get another bar review and do something completely different?
Because I had tried two other bar review methods companies before, and it just didn't work. I will say there's the anxiety and the pressure with the other big bar companies. There's no wins. You don't know what you're doing, if it's correct or incorrect. But with Celebration, you have a lot more freedom and flexibility. My advice is to start as early as you can, maybe 4 or 5 months out. I think for me, that was always helpful because I had to work the entire time. And I know a lot of bar exam
Mhm.
takers do, especially after the first exam.
Yeah.
So it gives you the freedom and the flexibility to carve out 3 or 4 hours a day. And we all could do that, especially for the bar exam. It's just there was no anxiety or stress, and I felt like I could always reach out to you if I had a question or needed something, and it makes a super stressful process that much easier because you instill the confidence and the trust your intuition, trust your gut. You invest in us as people, as bar exam takers. And so it's just, it's a whole process. It's the entire thing. It's not here's 7 volumes and good luck. And you have to memorize
Ye-
everything in 8 weeks. It's checking in on your mental well being, the physical aspects that help with your studying, different techniques that you just can't find anywhere else. Photo reading saves you so much time. You don't even have to read an entire outline. You can just skim through it in 4 or 5 minutes. So it's just overall an incredible program. I know that seems strange to say studying for the bar can be enjoyable, but Celebration truly is. You guys have had more faith in me at times than I did. So
Thank you. I am excited for your future, Tori.
yeah.
This is where we start crying. The future is bright for you and you have great opportunities. And I know that there are clients out there waiting for you, ready for you, who will be thrilled that they have an attorney who has such skill and determination. And when you start putting those to work for other people, the way you put them to work for yourself, boy, it's going to be powerful. And I'm so excited to watch where that journey goes and what you do.
Yeah.
Pride is the word I use today. I'm proud of you as a person. I'm proud of what you've accomplished. I'm proud of the fact that you did not let the system beat you. And now you can go out and make that system work for your clients. And that's got to be an incredible feeling for you.
Yes, I now feel like I'm officially part of the club. Everybody's, aren't you an attorney? Don't you know? And it's just not really, but now
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am
Yeah, you are. You're part of the club. You're in. And folks, if you're watching and you're thinking, I don't know if I can do it, you can do it. And
100%.
yeah. And so I really appreciate you sharing your story today, being vulnerable, being transparent, because I know it will help others. And I just know that's the kind of person that you are. So I am really looking forward to the next step in your journey without having to take the test and seeing where you go and what you do. Again, it's just wonderful news and congratulations.
Thank
I hope to our audience that you are as inspired as I am today and as thrilled and know what it means when you get to that mountaintop. It really is special, isn't it?
you. Yes, I honestly am still just on a high. I cannot even believe it.
And that's the way it should be. And to our audience, thank you. We'll be back with another interview. This is pretty great, at least for me. And thanks. And we'll see you all again soon. Take care, everybody.
Bye.